And we didn't have a library as nice as this one when I was growing up, but it had lots of books, and I loved going there. And so I'm going to tell you about three books that I like, and I think you'll like them too. And I'm going to share a little bit about each of them. The first book I'm going to talk about is a book called Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Reedy. Dealing with Dragons. And this book is a very special book because it's all about the kingdom of Linderwall. Now, the kingdom of Linderwall was just east of the mountains. It was a beautiful place. And the king lived there, and his wife, the queen, and they had 7 daughters. 7 beautiful daughters. 6 of those daughters had long, flowing, beautiful hair. And they knew how to bat their eyes. And they knew how to curtsy. And they knew how to do everything. The 7th daughter was a little bit different. Her name was Cimarine. Cimarine, she didn't have long, golden, flowing hair. She had long, black hair. Now, black hair is great, but Cimarine didn't like her hair. And she didn't wear it in the curly fashion that her sisters did. She wore 2 braids. Now, Cimarine was a little bit different because the kingdom of Linderwall, they had wonderful knights, you know, the kind that do jousting on the horseback. And they had a wonderful climate. It was always very pleasant. And the castle was wonderful and magic. But Cimarine was bored. Ew, I don't like this place, she said. I want to go somewhere. This is stupid. All I get to do is take curtsy lessons and sewing lessons, and I don't want to do that. So when her father didn't know about it, she went downstairs to the armory. Armory is a place where they keep the swords and all those things for fighting. And she asked the armor master to teach her how to fence. You know what fencing is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Girls back then didn't fence, especially princesses, but Cimarine wanted to on guard. She thought that was great. So she learned how to fence and she learned how to fight. And everything was going great until her father found out. He said, Cimarine, what are you doing? She said, I'm taking fencing lessons. Princesses aren't supposed to take fencing lessons. Well, Daddy, I'm bored. And I'm a princess, and I don't want to take fencing lessons. He says, no, I forbid you to take fencing lessons. Go upstairs. You need to go how to learn your embroidery. Oh, man. So she went upstairs. She couldn't take fencing lessons anymore. And just when she thought her father had gotten over the fencing lessons, he kept an eye out for her, so she couldn't go back to the fencing lessons. She went to the royal magician, and she wanted him to teach her how to do magic. And she learned how to make little spells, and she could make herself partially invisible. And if she tried real hard, she could, you know, cast little spells. And just when she was learning how, her father found out. Cimarine, what are you doing here with the royal magician? Well, I want to learn magic. You can't learn magic. Why not? Because you're a princess, and princesses aren't supposed to learn magic. They're supposed to curtsy, and they're supposed to sew, and they're supposed to bat their eyes, and they're supposed to look pretty. Oh, Daddy, that's boring. I don't want to do that. He says, I forbid you to come to the magician anymore. She walked away. And then she tried to figure out, what else could I do? I know. So she went down to the royal kitchen, and she talked to the royal cook, and she says, will you teach me how to cook? He said, okay. So Cimarine was in the kitchen, and she was banging with the pots, and she was learning to boil water and cook eggs, and after all that, finally, her father found out. Cimarine, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't be here in the kitchen. She said, well, Daddy, this is boring. I don't want to be here anymore. He says, you need to behave like a proper princess. she decided to do. The family said, you know, Cimarine is just not acting like a princess, and we're going to have to fix this. What we're going to do is we're going to take her to a tournament. Now, what they didn't tell Cimarine was that they were planning to marry her off to the prince. She thought she was just going to see the games, just to see the knights and jousting on the horses and the jesters juggling and everything. She didn't know they were trying to marry her off. They figured if we can marry her off, she'll be the proper princess. So while she was there at the tournament, she says, I'm glad we're only staying here for just a few days because I really need to get back to my cooking lessons. And that's when one of her ladies in waiting said, oh, you're not here just for a little while. You're going to be here forever because you're going to marry the prince. The prince? And her lady in waiting said, but he's handsome. Ew, I don't want to get married. I'm too young to get married. And her parents told her, you will marry this prince, and that's all there is. Not another word. And so Cimarine spent the days with the ladies in waiting, measuring her for her dress so they could make her wedding dress so she could marry the prince. And Cimarine, the more she thought about marrying the prince, she was, ooh! So she waited until they went to bed. And she remembered a little magic from the court magician. And she made herself invisible. And she snuck down the stairs and out of the castle. Now, she didn't know exactly where she was going to go because she only had lived in the castle. So as she stood there trying to figure out what to do, and she had been walking, she said, I hate this place. I hate the castle. I hate it. And I don't want to be married. I'd rather be eaten by a dragon. And a little voice said, oh, that can be arranged. She looked around, and there in front of her tree was a frog. She says, are you an enchanted prince? No, I'm just a regular old frog. But if you want to get away, I can help you. Oh, please, 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 just tell me what to do. He said, well, you go on the road outside of town, this road that you're on, and you walk and you walk and you walk until you come to this big pavilion. Don't stop at the pavilion. You keep on going. And then if you keep on going, you'll come to this well, when you get to the pavilion, don't pay any attention if somebody tries to come and invite you in. Go right past. Do not go into the pavilion. Next, if you keep on walking, you'll see this, raggedy hovel of a house. Go to that door, knock 3 times, snap your fingers, and then someone will help you out. So Cimarine went down the road, and she saw the pavilion, and it was beautiful with trees of gold and leaves of silver. And she heard a voice say, oh, come and sit with me. I'm so lonely. And Cimarine thought, oh, okay. And then she remembered, don't go over there.